Today, we're going to be inspired by the brand new Black Lives Matter mural found in downtown New York City by Foley Square. This mural was painted in part by CMOM's friend and artist in residence, Tijay Mohammed. TJ, along with other artists like Sophia Dawson and Patrice Payne, were selected to design the letters along Center Street near Foley Square. Today, we're going to create a stencil of each letter in the words Black Lives Matter. We'll use these stencils to create our own poster, mural, or banner that you can hang inside your home or outside in your neighborhood. First, you'll need some paper. Any paper will do. I like to use a hardy paper like a cardstock or even a cardboard. I take 8.5 by 11 sheets, and I want my stencils to be a little bit more manageable, so I'm cutting the paper in half by just tearing it down the middle. I want to make sure that I have enough sheets for each of my letters. Remember that some of the letters in the Black Lives Matter repeat. First, I want to sketch out my letters. I like sketching with pencil because it allows me to make mistakes and maybe figure out exactly the right shape of my letters. I wanted them to be approximately the same size, so I sketch out a frame for inside each piece of paper so that each letter is about the same size. It's okay if it's not exact. I do want them big enough so that when I fill them later with colors, there's a nice shape that comes through. Once I have all my letters sketched out, I want to really commit to that shape, and I go back in with a marker so that I know exactly where I'm going to cut. Remember, for letters like B and A, don't worry about the holes inside those letters because we're going to use the whole outline of the shape for our stencil. Now we're ready to cut out our letters. Remember, we want the whole shape of the letter, so it's important that you end your cut where you started. When you start your cut, imagine you're drawing with your scissors to cut the entire shape of the letter, and then end your cut exactly where you started. Now we'll use a little bit of tape to seal that one cut that we made when we cut out our shape. The tape makes our stencil a lot stronger and holds up to all the coloring that we're going to do to fill in our stencil. You can use the tape to also fill in any other cuts you made by accident. Now that we've sealed up our stencils, now it's time to use them. I chose a similar size paper to the size of my stencil, but you could also line them up on a much bigger poster board or a larger piece of paper. I use a little piece of tape so that the stencil doesn't move as I color. You could use anything from markers to crayons. You can use your coloring materials to color inside the shape. Be gentle on the edge as you don't want to rip the paper that is your stencil. You also want to make sure that you don't slip under your stencil. You can even go over the edges lightly and gently, because you want to make sure that your inside of that shape is completely filled. You can use different colors, you can use different line quality like scribbles or polka dots or spots. You could layer different materials as you color inside your stencil. Here I started off with some crayons, and now I'm going over with some paint marker. When you're done with your coloring, now it's time to reveal your shape. Gently remove the tape away from your stencil and reveal the new colored letter that you've created. For my letters, I was inspired by the colors and patterns I found in Tijay Mohammed's artwork, especially his Ubuntu series, which you can find in the link below. I was really inspired by all the different fabrics he used. A lot of his installations consist of African wax, kente, batik, and tie-dye fabrics. So I was inspired to look at those patterns to fill in each of my letters for my Black Lives Matter mural. If you created each letter on a separate piece of paper like I did, you want to lay out each of your letters to make sure you have all of them that spell out the phrase Black Lives Matter. I chose to create each one on a separate piece of paper so that I could hang them like a banner on my wall. You can also use the stencils on larger poster board or other surfaces to create this phrase. Thanks for joining us today at CMOM at Home. Be sure to explore more of the art of Tijay Mohammed, and be sure to explore more of the Black Lives Matter murals found throughout the United States and New York City.